Many thanks to DayZ Podcast, Pandemonium, Lion Lost, Felix Rex Vanilla servers, Atlas, Mutated Jurassic Outbreak servers, one original DayZ servers, Dust Vanilla servers, Sheriff Lion, and Apocalypse Now server for making this video possible. DayZ 1.21 has given us the ability to break open restraints in a matter of seconds using guns, making it more difficult to capture players and keep them prisoners for longer this patch. So in this video I'm going to detail a method of imprisonment to rival anything that we've seen before, with this technique of entrapment doubling as the most evil torture device that we've ever seen in DayZ. Like I said, the well-known method of trapping a player using these 5 restraints can be shot through in a matter of seconds this patch, which you can learn about more in this video here if you wish. In that video I also mentioned that you can lock players inside this prison building, inside these prison cells, which is a method of entrapment that currently has no escape. Bullets, melee weapons, and even explosives won't open this door. Only a lockpick can unlock this door, with this being the only door in DayZ that works like this. However, due to these prison buildings being far and few between, it makes using this method to capture players very difficult, especially as there's no way to drag a person around, even when they're unconscious, to these prison buildings to place them inside the cell to lock it. Now you can use a Lada as a mobile prison cell, as a player in the back of a Lada cannot escape if the 2 front seats are occupied, but with how you basically need 2 guards to stay in the 2 front seats, it's kind of like you need to imprison 2 guards with the prisoner at all times to make this method work, and that's if you can get the prisoner to sit in a car to begin with. A better method than this then is standing on a prone player's back that's been restrained, so you can knock them out, lock them up when they're on the floor, and then stand on their back, as prone restrained players cannot move in any direction, and because you're stood on their back they cannot stand up or crouch to start moving, but they can still escape if you don't interrupt them with any form of damage while they're trying to escape, which with the strongest restraints in the game is every 20 seconds. In the case of standing on a player's back to stop them from moving, from testing, this applies to any object in DayZ that stops them from standing or crouching. So crawl spaces such as these concrete walls can be used to stop a player from moving without the need to stand on top of them, making them stuck in all cases. They cannot stand up, so they cannot move because they're restrained. However, if they escape, they can simply crawl in any direction and get out of the situation, and also getting them prone directly underneath this wall is a big ask too, because again, you cannot drag players around in DayZ. To solve this problem, you can KO the player, restrain them, and then use a vehicle to cover half of their hitbox, restricting them from standing up, working exactly like a player standing on top of them or being under this wall here. Now this will only work if the vehicle covers more than half of their character, and the only vehicles high enough off the ground to do this are the V3S, Humvee and the Lada, but again, they can also break free of the restraints if you don't interrupt them every 20 seconds, so they need to be guarded for this technique to work too. The final problem to solve then is the guard-prisoner babysitting issue. If we can trap a player without needing to punch them every 20 seconds but they can't move out of a space, then they will be trapped forever, like in the prison room that I spoke about earlier. To get to this solution, I covered the entire player with a vehicle instead, but because you can just crawl away after you escape from restraints underneath the vehicle, I took the wheels off the vehicle to essentially drop the vehicle on top of the player, which surprisingly doesn't kill the player, but also it doesn't trap them either. Leaving the wheels on the vehicle, I placed objects around the victim, so around the car, to trap them underneath the car instead. But most objects in DayZ, you can crawl straight through them. They don't have any hitboxes for collision, and like fireplaces, while they do block you underneath this vehicle, you can just pick up the fireplace and put it inside your inventory or put it into your hands. What can't be picked up though are heavy items, as heavy items require you to be standing to pick them up, so any heavy item that cannot be crawled through will work in this case, such as what we have on the vehicle already, all of the vehicle parts. The hood, trunk, doors and wheels all work to block players from escaping from under a vehicle, so you can simply KO a player with melee or with a shotgun shell type, restrain them, and you'll have between 30 to 50 seconds to position your vehicle above them before they wake up, and then a further 20 seconds for them to escape the restraints underneath the vehicles, because remember they can't move, giving you plenty of time to set up their prison cell with the vehicle parts that are conveniently already on the vehicle itself. Once trapped under a vehicle, you cannot pick up any of the heavy items around it, you cannot look up through the vehicle and climb into it, and you cannot move the vehicle in any way. You are literally stuck underneath this vehicle. You can get a gun out and try to shoot your captor, but your captor is the only one that can remove the objects around their vehicle that's blocking you, and because you can't go into the suicide animation, unblocking yourself while stuck in the prone animation won't work. Because there's no need for a guard in this case, all you can hope for is that some passerby has mercy on you and removes a part so you can escape, kills you, or just robs you instead. Or you slowly die of hunger over the course of 83 minutes, if you're lucky enough to be at close to zero hunger already, unless of course your captor has great hosting skills and gives you their food, or somebody else. A temporary escape is logging off. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, of course, but when you log off, you will log in the exact same position, prone underneath the vehicle, with all the vehicle parts staying in the same location. The only escape I could find from this situation while staying alive and keeping all of your stuff is if you have the ability to make yourself vomit. Due to the recent changes in 1.19, when you vomit now, you are forced into the crouch animation, and because there is no space for you to crouch underneath a vehicle, it pushes you to the side of the vehicle instead, allowing you to escape. Do bear in mind that using the vomit emote won't work, as you cannot use this emote in the prone stance. You can't use most of the emotes in the prone stance, and any of the emotes that are remaining won't free you from the vehicle either. To vomit normally then, you can simply eat a lot of food at once if you have a lot of food on you, or you can eat rotten food, the unknown food can, or chug some gasoline, which may be inside the vehicle already, because if they took the trunk off the vehicle, you can access the inventory from underneath. The only other method I found that forces you to crouch is using either a blood bag IV on yourself or a saline IV. No other medical items such as morphine will do this to you, and because you can't craft while you're in the prone stance, no crafting method will work either. So while this is the best method to create a mobile prison cell in DayZ, you can escape by vomiting or using an IV on yourself, but if you don't have those, then you are stuck here until you die. You can always log off and hope for the vehicle parts to despawn, but it takes 8 hours for vehicle parts to despawn after someone touches them, unless someone out there finds an easy way to escape this trapping method, because your captor will likely take any food or medicine that you have on you before putting you in this situation anyway. There are a couple of other lesser known methods for trapping a player that we discovered some time ago, with one of them involving trapping a player in a vehicle by placing a landmine underneath the passenger side of the vehicle while the prisoner was inside the passenger seat. This method would cause a landmine to explode when you move seats, so even if you got into the driver's seat it would explode, and when you got out of the vehicle, so you had no escape, it would trap the player inside the vehicle. But this will only work when you get out of the vehicle now. Switching to the driver's seat doesn't trigger it to explode, only entering the driver's seat from the outside of the vehicle does. Another method I found to trap players was making them stand on any vehicle part and placing a landmine underneath their feet. If they move, or even if they move their camera, the landmine will trigger and explode. With this method also working with the bear trap too, because you can't place a landmine or a bear trap directly under somebody's feet, they have to be elevated off the ground, and that's why the vehicle part is used in this case. If you know any other methods to trap players in DayZ, let us know below in the comments. You can learn more about the new shooting open restraint mechanic here for this patch. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day.